Hey guys, what's up? My name is Sarah and I am doing a review of season 1 of the hit TV show Gilmore Girls, coming to it from a person who's never seen it before. Having just finished the first season, I've got a lot to talk about. Needless to say, this video is going to include a ton of spoilers, so if you haven't seen the show and you're thinking of watching it, I wouldn't start here. I'm gonna give away a ton of plot points. So when I first started watching it, I had just stopped watching Sex and the City, another late 90s, early 2000s gem, for the first time. And so I'm kind of going through this phase, I guess, where I'm watching a lot of TV shows that I was maybe just a little bit too young for. And so I watched Sex and the City and did a lot of reviewing of that show and on my personal Instagram. And I finished that and I had a lot of feedback from that because that show is so easy to criticize, and so there's so much to laugh at in that show.
Even though I loved it.
But then when I started Gilmore Girls, I thought, I watched the first couple episodes and I thought, I'm not gonna have anything to say. This is just so sweet. It's so nice. I have nothing to make fun of it for. So my only input would really just to be give my thoughts on the storyline itself, like get into it and kind of go like, am I on team this guy or team this guy? And although I know that's been done before, I'm gonna do it today. I got some things to say now. Let's get into it. There's lots to talk about. So Gilmore Girls, let's get you all up to speed in case you haven't seen it and you just feel like I'm never gonna watch it, let's spoil it. So Gilmore Girls came out in 2000. Obviously a massive show, but it just missed me. I was 10 when the first season premiered. So being 10, I was a little bit too young for it, never saw it at the time. I have older sisters that watched it. My mom watched it, but it just never, it wasn't quite for me at the time. And so here I am 20 years later watching it, and of course it's a little bit dated, but it's super charming, and I'm just gonna give you some of my first impressions of it. The story revolves around mother and daughter duo Rory and Lorelai, and they are just a really cute relationship between her mother and daughter that's, circles the whole show. I had a few people in disbelief that I'd never seen the show before because of course it was so popular at the time and continued to be just a cult classic afterward. I had a couple of friends specifically say, I'm so jealous of you for watching this show for the first time. I wish I could forget it all and go back and see it again. So of course when your friends say stuff like that, it's pretty intriguing. So we open up season 1. Rory's 16, Lorelai is 32, and we're sort of just getting an intro to what their relationship is. One of the first things we notice, they talk very fast, and of course this continues throughout the whole show, and it's sort of one of the benchmarks, one of the defining characteristics of how the show is written. I remember actually as a kid watching it a couple times, like I had seen it on TV, and watching it a couple times and just being like, God, they do talk fast. Like I remember thinking that they talk fast. And so it's sort of like the thing that makes it stand out, that makes it different. But this time around, I remember thinking, this is not so weird, and not really having that impression. I'm not a scholar on this show. I know that there are people far more qualified than me, but I'm here to give a first reaction, This time around, I remember having this thought of, because the show was so influential, perhaps it actually sort of changed the way that people talked. I really think that this probably added to the fact that we all talk so fast now. There's no way that it didn't have some sort of impact and sort of made people want to speak like the Gilmore Girls. Maybe it's being an adult now watching it. Maybe it's maybe I was right and maybe it did influence the way people talk, but I just have this feeling that since 2000 things have shifted and it's not so weird anymore. It's that reason that you watch TV. You watch TV to see something that you aren't necessarily experiencing in real life, something that's entertaining, and I think that's part of why it stood out, is because it was like nothing people had seen before. Then we have a couple episodes where it's sort of Rory's experience in Chilton and getting to know the characters there. Of course, we're introduced to Paris and her friends. Paris is set up to be the mean girl, but of course she's not your typical mean girl. She's not like these girls we're seeing in other movies, and I don't mean that in the way of like she's not like other girls. I think Paris's character is unique because she is given to us as someone who's driven, smart, she's focused. Of course she is mean in the beginning, she's got her guard up, but she's more so of like a conservative girl who wants to do well at school, wants to get into Harvard as well. I think that, you know, right off the bat, and of course this is one of the biggest accomplishments of the show, is writing well-rounded, believable women. The women are given things that they aspire to and things that they dream of. So we see female friendships, we see Rory and Lane, we see Lorelai and Suki St. James. This show really passes the Bechdel test. Bechdel. Never said it out loud before. Introduced right away to Luke, and right away, even in the first episode, we get this nod to the fact that Lorelai asks Rory what she thinks of Luke in sort of a romantic, suggestive way. Rory says, you can't date Luke because then if something goes bad, we have nowhere to get coffee. I had no idea that it was going to take so long for anything to happen there. I am currently just starting season 2, and what the hell? Seriously, why does it take so long? It's so obvious. Luke, played by Scott Patterson, is apparently he was on for just the pilot, and then the undeniable chemistry between him and Lauren Graham, the woman who acts the character of Lorelai, just kind of solidified his position in the show because they needed that chemistry. I think that's part of the reason that it's so infuriating that you watch season 1 and nothing happens between them.
Just hook up already.
So we get introduced right away to Dean. Okay, so we gotta talk about Dean. Let's talk about Dean. I guess right now I'm Team Dean, okay? Don't get mad at me. I just have no one else to go off of yet. I just finished season 1. I don't know about Jess yet. You've all told me about Logan. I don't know about any of them yet, okay? All I know is Dean, so I'm Team Dean for now. In my opinion, after season 1, and I know you're all gonna say, just wait, Sarah, just wait. But after season 1, I have no qualms with Dean. Dean is a great first boyfriend, and I've talked about this with friends. There's nothing wrong with Dean per se, okay? Sometimes he's a little bit boring. Do I think that it would be great if Rory stayed with him forever? No. Do I think he's pretty harmless? Yes. Dean is actually a pretty respectable guy. You know, nowhere in season 1 do we see him pressuring Rory to do anything that she doesn't want to do. He's super nice to her family. He, you know, he listens, he hangs out with them. He tries to read the books that she wants him to read, like he's really giving it a go. Is he the best boyfriend ever? No. Is he okay for a first boyfriend in high school? Absolutely. I also have heard that when Jess, the next love interest for Rory, is introduced, that Dean's character is written to be a little bit more of like a foil to Jess, and Dean comes off as more of an asshole in season 2. I'm a little bit disappointed in hearing that, but we'll see. We'll see what happens. This is my next topic, is talking about the cool girl, and I think this is sort of my biggest takeaway from this. I have some people that disagree with me on this, but when I watched the show, my immediate thought about Lorelai Gilmore was she would be a very hard person to be a friend to. I'm not saying she doesn't have her reasons to be this way, but I know for sure that her lack of vulnerability, her inability to open up, and her constant sarcasm would make her an extremely hard person to like. I know I have 6 seasons ahead of me where she is going to blossom and I'm going to get to know her more. I'm already starting to soften up on her in the beginning of season 2, which I just started. But man, I just feel like she is written to be the quirky, cool girl. And I think that was okay in the year 2000, but I don't think that would work now. Few things. Lorelai is constantly deflecting. She uses sarcasm as a tool. She hardly ever can give anybody a straight answer. That would drive anybody insane. I can actually see where Emily is coming from when she always has to ask if Lorelai is joking or not. I feel like the audience can always sense when Lorelai is joking, when sometimes Emily cannot sense that. But regardless, I think that Lorelai's character is written to be quirky. You know, she's kind of the quirky, cool girl. She's beautiful, she's witty, she's smart, she's made her own way in the world. You know, she's somebody who the audience is supposed to love. And I think for the most part we do. I think for me, it's just rings so true of this woman that they often tried to write in early 2000s of like the quirky girl. Like Lorelai often criticizes mainstream things. Like, there's an episode where they make fun of NSYNC and 98 Degrees and Backstreet Boys. I just watched an episode in season 2 where she's looking for AC/DC on the radio and country comes on and she can't handle country. And I really think there's a lot of these tiny moments where they've written Lorelai to be the cool woman. She's a cool girl. Everyone's got their reasons for the way that they are. Nobody's perfect. Lorelai comes across this way probably due to a lot of walls that she's built up. I just think that there's an element of Lorelai's character that's judgmental and a little bit snotty, and worked in 2000. I don't think it's as cool now. There's this element too of Lorelai with the food. This is another thing about her being the cool girl. You know, her and Rory make this point of Dean comes over one time with a salad and they're like, what's a salad? And they get so disgusted that he's eating a salad, and then Lorelai takes a giant bite of her meat lover's pizza, and it's you know, to me it's just hammering home like, look at us, we like pizza, we're not like other girls who always eat salads and are concerned about our weight and our skin. And in my opinion, Lorelai, hot take alert. If you're eating this much takeout, never cooking, always eating junk food, constantly drinking coffee, there's no way you're gonna look as beautiful as Lauren Graham looks in this. Her diet and her budgeting do not add up. Your lifestyle is outplaying your means. Your skin's gonna get fucked up. Anyway, you know, Suki often has to, oh, God bless Suki. Suki's always so patient with her. Honestly, Suki's a real MVP of Stars Hollow, in my opinion. It's just sort of looking back to the year 2000 from the year 2020 and seeing such a difference in the way that women have been written, luckily. And we've got a long ways to go, but we're getting there. This has got a real millennium vibe to it. It's got that positivity of the late 90s, early 2000s. How do I put this? The people aren't scared like we are now, and that's weird. 2020 has been a real gong show so far, and so to look back at 2000, sometimes I watch this show just for it to be like a break from the world. There is sort of just like a sweetness, a sweet innocence to watching shows from 2000, which makes it easier to watch, in my opinion. It's sort of like why these are fun, nostalgic binges. I know we got a lot of seasons in front of us, but part of the charm of season 1 to me is just feeling safe and cozy. It's like watching Gilmore Girls. It's like, forget about everything that's happening in the world right now in 2020. It's easy. It's just easy. It's easy to watch. We've got the transitions. Obviously, they are coming from the time of the great commercial break, and I'm watching this on Netflix, and I do not have that problem. But man, this just screams early 2000s to me. That like, wow, like that woman that's singing in between scenes. It's like, whatever that is, that soft, airy, unassuming early 2000s woman. God, that I am so sad to find out that continues through all 7 seasons. That sound is so dated. But one of the things I do love is one of our other transition, the only other transition sound so far is our town troubadour. And I love this guy because I think this is so Gilmore Girls to me. It's just sort of out of left field and weird, and I like that. The frames of the show are weird sometimes. The writing is obviously weird a lot of the time and charming, despite all the things they say about Lorelai's character being hard to love and she would be hard to get to know in real life. It's charming. The town is sweet. It's easy to watch. It's like a warm blanket. Gilmore Girls is this warm blanket that comes up around you. If you've made it this far, thank you so much for watching. Let me know if you want me to do a season 2 review. Thanks. Bye, guys.